So my name is Luke Craig, and I'm going to be sharing some of our experiences of using EdTech at Britannia Education Trust. I've been a teacher at Britannia Village Primary School in East London for the past 8 years, and in that time a lot has changed. So I became the ICT and computing lead in 2014, around about the time the new computing curriculum was introduced. So it was my responsibility to ensure students were learning about coding. And we had some laptop trolleys that were shared between year groups, and to be honest, it was an absolute nightmare getting them to turn on or to connect to the network or the Wi-Fi, let alone getting the teachers to teach a subject that they were never taught in school. I tried buying more laptops, but really everything I tried didn't work, and it was a bit of a headache and I wasn't sure what to do. But then in 2016, I thought I'd found the perfect solution. I applied to become the maths leader, and then ICT could be someone else's problem. But I didn't get the job, and that meant I had to try and think about a new strategy for using technology at our school. That was when I went to our senior leadership team with the proposal to go Google, and we invested in Chromebooks, and I pitched the idea of my vision of having a device for each child, and to my surprise, they agreed, and after a trial in one year group, we ordered hundreds of Chromebooks for every pupil from years 2 up to year 6, and it's had a truly transformative effect on our school. So now I'm going to share with you some of our experiences of embedding the new technology, some examples of ways it's transformed teaching and learning, and how staff started to use the tools in innovative ways to save teachers time. And now one of our strategic goals is to showcase what we've done in case it might be useful for other schools. So I'm going to start off by discussing how we embedded the technology, which is a really important part of the process, as we had to train all the staff to ensure that they were confident to use the Google environment and that we were able to administer the accounts with our chosen settings. So I did the training on the admin console so I could manage the user accounts, and we worked with a Google partner to deliver some introductory training to all staff on the first day back in September 2017. Following that, we organised for all of our teaching staff to receive a full one-day boot camp to enable them to pass the online Certified Educator exam. And our goal is to have all teachers certified at level 1 and at least one level 2 teacher in each year group, although we're not there yet. That's just our goal. And I became a trainer and an innovator as well, which means I can now deliver the training to new staff each year. So in the first year, we gathered lots of feedback using Google Forms to find out about people's experience of using the Chromebooks and the Google accounts. And from students, we found out that over 3/4 of them either agreed or strongly agreed that it had helped their learning. And they said things like they liked being able to collaborate, sharing work with peers. They liked being able to access work from home, which turned out to be really important during lockdown. And it gave their work some more purpose. As for teachers, they were unanimously in favour of Google and the Chromebooks, saying that it made the learning more accessible and allowed them to make lessons more creative. And then in 2018, we became a Google reference school, which meant educators from around the world could find us on Google's Edu directory and organise a visit. And we had over 130 visitors last year, and we try and get feedback from them as well. So they said things like they liked seeing what their potential future might look like. So next I'm going to share a few examples of ways we've used the Google tools in the classroom. And usually our team of Digi champions would do this presentation. So they are students who have applied to be a Digi champion, and they have to demonstrate that they're confident to speak to groups of adults and share things. This is them at the Bet show. But yeah, they're not here today, so you're going to have to put up with me. So this is Google Classroom, which we use a lot, and it's a place where teachers can set assignments with resources attached, and it organises all of the students' work. And here is an example of an assignment with a few attachments, and this is a piece of work that the student produced using Google Slides. So they had to research about life in the trenches and then add it onto the image. And then it was easy for me as a teacher to just add a comment that they could respond to. Another example of something that's changed is we used to use draft books in English for our first drafts. But as you can see, things got really messy and hard to read. And as a teacher, we were expected to check these or check over these for every member of the class, and it always left me with a headache trying to read 20 of these. But now we use Google Docs for first drafts, which makes it much easier to check through, and the students can edit it really clearly. Another feature is that they can share their work with peers. So maybe as an extension task, if they're finished, they can give each other feedback and support without actually physically moving around the class and disrupting other students who might still be working. So we also use Google Sites to showcase what we've been learning in each year group. An easy way for teachers to share the learning with parents and family members. So in year 4, their topic was chocolate, and they visited the Excel Centre to do some market research from members of the public about what they would like in a chocolate bar. Then, in a very hectic afternoon, they got to get their chosen ingredients and make chocolate bars into a mould, and design little packages and things. And there was some tasting of the chocolate, and then take those home and hopefully share them, or maybe just eat them. And also in another topic they were learning about in history, they found what they assumed was a stone from the Bronze Age, when in actual fact the teachers planted it there. But they wrote newspaper articles about this, and then we could embed this onto the Google site. So again, it gives some purpose to their work, and it means that they're not just doing their work to go into a book that would sit on a shelf, but actually it can go onto the website where other members of the year or family members can read that. But they're not just for teachers. So this website was made by a student called Barnaby, and here he's embedded in a Google slideshow his artwork that he adds to throughout the year, and then he can add evaluations. And because he can take this home or access it at home, his mum's added an evaluation as well. And here he's created a page with pictures from the trip to the Cadbury World, and he's embedded some of his writing from his Cadbury Brothers biography. And there are many other ways that students can use Google Sites to show what they've been learning. And it's all really easy and simple to create one of these, and good fun. So are they only for teachers and older students? Well, no. Last year I was a teacher in year 2, and we had a DigiFloor book. So we were learning about the Stone Age. So we had a visitor come in. They did some art, cave painting style art, and again using the Chromebooks just for images. They went on trips to the woods where they got to make fire and shelters and lots of fun things like that. And then they used Book Creator to create a kind of online ebook. And I'll show you an example. This is Evie's ebook that she created. And she's added images and texts and voice narration that you can click on and listen to what she says. And lots of pictures that she just added to as we went through the topic. And she's even, for homework, she created a shelter. And because she's got her Chromebook with the camera, she can take a video really easily of her homework and include that in there. And again, this just gives purpose to her work. So she can share this with family members, even if they live in other countries, and they can see what she's been up to. And there are so many other benefits of having one-to-one devices. So we pay for lots of online subscriptions, such as Timetable Rockstars and Mathletics. And we saw that once we'd got the devices, their usage really went up because teachers were using them in lessons as extension tasks or when they first came in the morning. We also use ReadyWriter to help with spellings. We use Google CS First to help learn computer science, which is fantastic, especially if you've got staff who are less confident teaching Scratch. It kind of has videos explaining the concepts, and then the students get on with it. We use Typing Club. We use Kahoot and Forms to do quizzes in kind of topic lessons, and it keeps the kids engaged. Interland helps them understand about online safety, and there are many more. But having one-to-one devices means that we can access all of these much easier and make the most of them. Another kind of unexpected benefit of using Google for Education was that staff started innovating solutions to problems we had, things to do with data management and target setting and risk assessments, and the kind of jobs that teachers do once the children have gone home. So many of those processes were made simpler once we had access to the tools and staff started creating time-saving strategies. But I don't really have time to go into those right now. Instead, I'm going to talk a little bit about our home learning and how we kind of approached the strange times we found ourselves in March this year. So I've made a video that's on YouTube that goes into a bit more detail on this, that you're welcome to go on another time. But I'm just going to kind of give you a day in the life of a year 2 in June this year. So this was our strategy. We created a web page for each day, and students would log in. It would go live at 9 a.m. that morning, and the previous weeks got put into another tab. And then here we've got an online register that this is a Google form that's embedded onto the site, so they can just click I'm here and click submit, and that will show us onto a Google sheet which students have logged in, and if any of them haven't signed in for a couple of days, and we can chase up with their parents and find out if they're having technical issues or what the problem is there. And then as they scroll down the page, each morning we'd have like a team meeting using Google Meet, and just catch up and find out who's planning what for today and how they did yesterday, and just general meeting stuff. But then we started recording parts of our morning meeting and would shout out individual students who had impressed us from the day before. And parents told us that the students really enjoyed listening to those, and it really motivated them to do their best. Then they'd scroll down a bit more, and this was the maths work, and this would have been recorded the previous day by the teacher responsible for maths, which was me in this case. And again, it was the exact same content that they would have been using in school, but it was just in a video form. So I asked them in this case, can they come up with a better method than mine? And then they could respond. So further down the page, there's a link to go to Flipgrid. And from there, again, it's really simple to log in with their Google account. They could add a video response. And this was a really nice way for them to see each other and kind of keep in contact. They could post video replies to one another, which was really sweet. And it was nice as a teacher to be able to see them, and we could give video responses. And if any children had any misconceptions, we could kind of catch those. And then when they carried on going down the web page, they might have an activity to complete. Sometimes we used a Jamboard for this, but today it was a Google form, which had the benefit that when they submitted their answers, they got instant feedback telling them if they were correct. And then they would have had another video to watch for English. And in this case, they had a link that took them to an assignment on Google Classroom. And from there was an activity they could complete in slides. And again, we could go onto that as a teacher and see the work that they were doing and leave them comments and feedback. And then there would have been another activity for reading, and sometimes other thematic-based learning as well. So thank you for listening. I just wanted to point out as well that we recently joined the EdTech Demonstrator Programme, which is funded by the DfE, and it aims to provide peer-to-peer support for schools. So if any of the things that I've spoken about here has kind of interested you, or you want to find out more, or you want support doing similar things at your school or in your context, then do feel free to go to the demonstrator website, and you can get in touch with any of the 50 fantastic demonstrator schools across the UK, or you could email us directly, and we might be able to support you with training, or maybe sitting down with your SLT and developing technology strategy. So do get in touch, and it's all free, or at least it's paid for by the government. So thanks for listening, and I hope that was helpful, and good luck with your EdTech strategy.